Hi. So I'm going to talk about today just some of the things that I do to create a decent, nuanced music exhibition. And I'm going to use all examples from our Nirvana Taking Punk to the Masses show that's up right now. So an exhibit isn't a documentary, it's not a novel, it's a very distilled, compressed narrative within a finite space. And so the challenge is to add that complexity, that nuance, that sort of ultimate truthiness within those confines. And people are going to have really strong opinions about your content, which is great. You want to have discussion, you want to have debate, and it probably behooves you to actually put those discussion points, those points of contention within the exhibition. Everything you do in the exhibit really needs to go back to your goals. And in fact, with your audience, you want to be really explicit with that. You want people to go into the exhibition knowing exactly what they're going to get into. So be explicit with the goals. Who is your audience for the exhibition? There's probably a natural audience, but most people want to have as many people as possible coming to the exhibit. So how can you tweak your exhibit to cater to the biggest audience possible without doing injustice to your exhibit? People are going to have different levels of fluency in the content, different interests, so provide them different ways to access that content, different avenues, different methods to get into the exhibit. As a curator, I really need to be an ambassador and really need to please a lot of different constituents, my own institution as well as everybody involved in the exhibits. The more that I can be a trusted, sort of as much as possible, unbiased person, the better for the exhibit. And there's a core community usually that really cares about your topic. So in this case, it was that Seattle music scene and those legions of rabid Nirvana fans. So make sure that you have offerings for them and you're really trying to please them. History is made of many voices. This is my story or EMP story. It's the story of dozens, if not hundreds of people. So use those primary sources to tell your story. It just adds nuance and complexity. And because this is a show about people, as a curator, I feel a lot of responsibility to show respect to that content. I can pick and choose what to display, what to focus on, what not to focus on. So really have that, so I focus on this, but have that respect. And, it is about people. People are interesting. I think that, beyond those popular accomplishments, that people's personal journeys are something that visitors really connect to. So the more that you can show that, the more people will connect to that content. And the more you add context, the more that you're connecting your narrative to larger cultural processes, which really just adds depth to your exhibit, makes it more connected to the larger world. And because you have a lot of information in a small amount of space, like these talks, hierarchy, repetition, patterning are all really key elements in which to give clues to the visitors so that they can successfully navigate through an exhibition. And people don't read in exhibits, so as much as I'd love them to read my lovely prose, offer different avenues, films, oral histories, interactives, infographics in which you can repeat your narrative. It is sad. It's a museum. Show the goods. People like to see stuff. Artifacts have a power over people, I think. People have a very personal, very emotional connection to a lot of artifacts, so show those goods if you have them. They will carry a lot of narrative weight. And it's a 3D space, so how can you use your space to your advantage? What can you do? Can you do giant mural images or very focused displays or open areas, very confined spaces? What can you do to kind of spice up the exhibit with the space itself? And surprise people. In the Nirvana exhibit, we had a display of Kurt Cobain's canned meat collection. We made all of the exhibit casework out of a 100-year-old elm tree that Chris Novoselic chopped down in Southwest Washington. So add some surprises in there. And people will stay in your exhibit if it's actually comfortable. So add, seating, flooring, the type size should be readable, the ambient audio, the lighting, all of these things increase dwell time. And try to break down that barrier between the audience and the content. If you can make the audience actually be a creator of content, then their personal stories will dovetail into the story of your exhibition. and extend that experience beyond the physical confines of the exhibit. How can you add public programming or educational offerings or publications to extend and enrich that brand? So all of these things will help in an exhibit. And there you go.